Hey, good morning, YouTube. So today, as I told you yesterday, we're going to do the ceiling and insulating the front walls of all the insulation. So what we're going to do today, we're going to use the same 1-inch foam is going to go on the ceiling. And then for the exterior walls, I went a little bit cheap and I got the 1/2-inch foam, which I'm going to glue to the exterior walls. I'm also going to change all of the screws because the screws that came on it were some type of bit that no one knows what it is. I've been to 2 hardware stores and 3 automotive stores and no one knows what the bit is. So last night, to get the screws out, we had to take a death wheel, cut a slot in all of the screws so then we could use a flathead screwdriver to unscrew them. And to say that it was maddening would be an understatement. Along this front wall, as you'll see, I'll stop and take a video. The wall, this exterior skin, is approximately 1 inch away from the ribbing. This is because they had some plywood stuffed in there, and as you can see on the wall behind me, it just fell to pieces. This trailer had a leak in it that I fixed, and we didn't know how bad the damage was. So I'm going to take some regular 1/2-inch thick plywood, cut it into strips because that's the only way to get it in there, and then stand the strips up to reinforce that wall, and then go out front and reinstall the screws through the wood into the beams so it's all locked together as one unit. Okay, YouTube, update time. Ceiling has been sealed with the 1-inch thick insulation boards, and then I went around and spray foamed all the gaps on the side. We still got to do this little one right here. Same on this side, but you won't really be able to see it. But now the other thing you'll notice is we got rid of those Lord awful screws that they had that also had no washers on them. So I put washers on them, and it's amazing. The ceiling board doesn't sag anymore. So the next task will be to finish up this little spot right here. Once that's done, we're going to reinforce this front wall and then on to insulating the front wall. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. All right, YouTube, next set of updates for you. I figured I'd show you what we've been up to here recently. So we're reinforcing the front wall with the 1-inch thick polystyrene, and then I'm going to add 1/2-inch thick polystyrene to the outside to take up this gap right here. We've worked our way around and got that side done, 1 panel on this side, and then we've got 3 more down that way. And so I figured I'd show you how I lay it out and cut it out if there's any question on that. So what I did is I went through and I wrote the dimensions of each bay on the sheet metal. And then I come back here and I transfer those dimensions onto the white side of the foam board because I found that the other side, the silver side, the permanent marker doesn't like to write on it. So all I do is I make a couple of tick marks down its length, and then I take a long level and I line it up with the tick marks like so. And then I take my Sharpie and I draw along the length of that. Then to cut it out, I'm just using a handsaw, almost like what you'd use in a garden to trim trim bushes and limbs off of trees. But it goes through it like butter. It leaves a real clean cut. The only problem that I found is it makes the inside of the cargo trailer look like a snow globe exploded. But I found it a good shop vac, picks that up with no problem. So we have finally gotten the exterior wall on the driver's side completely insulated and all the wall board put back up. The front wall has its complete first round of insulation, 1-inch thick. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back in here and fill in this gap with insulation also. This level up here is only in place to reinforce the front wall. Since I ripped out that plywood, I figure if I don't get the roof leak fixed completely, this stuff's not gonna rot like plywood did. This wall has been completely insulated and is complete. You can see we got the trim back up. Now, some of you may notice on these walls, you have empty screw holes and screws with washers. The reason for that is, as I stated in previous videos, the manufacturers of these trailers use a bit that you can't find the bit for purchase. So what I had to do, you'll see here on this wall, I haven't done it yet. What I had to do was come in and just roughly estimate halfway between the screw holes, drill it so that I could then put in the correct screws, and then I added washers to it to add more of a grip, because the manufacturer didn't even have washers, which let the boards get loose. All of these screws are directly into the sheet metal, or I'm sorry, into the steel beams, and that way there's no issues. Now, last thing we have is the electrical cable that we've talked about. What we have is a 50 amp RV cable. Not only can you tell by the plugs, but you can also tell by the diameter. This is 6 gauge. What I'm going to do is cut this end off, peel back the sheathing, and expose the wires. Then those wires are going to come into the junction box and hook up to the main 50 amp breaker, which will be up here on top, and then deliver the power down through the subsequent breakers. That'll be a project for tomorrow. As well as I'll show you the final product with this front wall. Now, in closing, I would just like to, again, give, maximum shout out. And as I am from the original South Central LA, that would be South Central Lower Alabama for all them California folks, I just want to say to MBC that this project would not be even possible without their loving support. So MBC, you run it all. Thanks, and y'all have a great day.